Welcome back, gentlemen and ladies. I know you're out there. This is Know Your Stuff. We are going to do the two things that we always do when we're here. We drink beer and we talk gear. Today, drinking some Rev Pills out of Revolution in Brewing, Chicago area. And I want to get right into today's topic because I feel like I got a bunch to say about it and I don't want this video to drag on forever. Today, we're going to talk about the Olight O'Pen 2 copper from Olight. I got a couple other items on the table here that I'm going to use for the purposes of the discussion, but I got them kind of off to the side for now so they aren't distracting this guy right here in the center. Quickly, just going to sort of talk about the packaging and the boxing that you get. Olight packaging, very similar to the flashlights. Really nice boxes, always really nicely packaged. And they always say thank you inside the package. So you open up the box, you get this little yellow instruction sheet that describes how to use the pen and how to charge it. Take this off, and you would have found it inside the box just like this, except for it was in a vacuum sealed bag. It's in a vacuum sealed bag because the pen is all copper, this edition, as you can see, and they didn't want it to anodize or to patina, before it got into the customer's hands. So once you take off the bag, there's this little plastic cap on top. I'll throw that aside. Then you have this little styrofoam piece, the instruction manual underneath here. As it sort of describes, you have a spare ink and a charging cable. So there's a spare ink right there, and then they provided the USB to USB-C charging cable, as if we don't have a million of them laying around. And just one thing of note that I found interesting was that this is just branded Olight. I couldn't find, there's some other writing on there, but it basically just says rollerball. It seems as if it's Olight branded some other ink company, but the only reason why I mention it is because it actually writes really nicely. Really nice writing experience, so I'm kind of glad that they included a spare. So I'll put that off to the side. So this is the O'Pen 2, if you aren't aware. The O'Pen 1, very similar to this. I think that the only changes that they made between the O'Pen version 1 and the O'Pen version 2 is that the O'Pen version 1 did not have a lockout for the flashlight, and I guess that people were complaining that it was accidentally activating in their pocket. So this one has a lockout, which I just showed you. You sort of activate by holding, and when it's locked, pushing on the button will only get you this red light and won't accidentally turn on in your pocket. So O'Pen 2, this version, $65. And what you get is this full copper pen here. There's a little Olight logo there. Here is the pocket clip. It's got a little tritium slot in it and a tri-wing screw up at the top. We'll talk about that in a second. Little blue accent here and here, and then you have the mechanism for the bolt mechanism for opening and closing the pen. In order to use the pen, obviously just use the bolt. I'll just say that it has a really nice feel to it. It doesn't kind of clack against the end of it. It almost feels like it's like a little bit spongy. So it's not making a real metal clack at the end. It's kind of nice. When you want to use, when you want to charge the flashlight, you can do so by putting this here. And I've found that it's nice to actually just use this sitting on the table, and then use the pen, and say you had some paper here, and you can, have this as bright as you need in order to, so put that on the table. You could most definitely use it while it's still connected, but I think the idea of kind of, if you're writing a bunch, laying it down right next to it is kind of neat. So as you see there, one push gets you moonlight, hold it, medium, high medium, and low medium and high. Sorry. Goes through that cycle unless it is held down and locked. So when I'm using it as a pen, I just keep it locked, and that way I don't have to worry about it turning on in my pocket. So design-wise, they have this spiraled rifling kind of down the barrel. I think it feels really nice. A tad like aggressive when I first got it, kind of just like the corners were a little bit rough. But as I've been using it, they're starting to soften a little bit. Overall, I would say I really like it, and I'll just say that before I start to go in and talk about the things that I don't like. First off, I'm finding that the pen is not really patinaing like I expected. In other words, the oils in my hands are not causing this copper to darken or anything like that. So what that means is that they have put some sort of a coating on there to prevent that from happening. I'm familiar with this. It has happened with other items. One of them, for example, this MacForce flashlight, copper. I've had it for a very long time. It's just starting to patina now, and that's after me trying many different ways to gently remove whatever coating is on here, but I think I'm sort of at the point where it's coming off and it's starting to patina. So that was the case when I got this one. Same with this Aonic this is even older than that one, and I don't know if you can see, but you can actually just tell where in some places whatever the coating was is just worn away. And now this flashlight is just now starting to patina after years of having it. So I'm familiar with the practice, but I don't love it. So I actually already sort of hit this with a little bit of acetone, a little bit of rubbing alcohol and things like that, very lightly, just trying to remove it. And I think it's actually starting to patina a little bit. So that's one thing I don't like. That's one thing I don't love. Definitely not a deal breaker. I'm still really digging this thing. The other thing is, I don't know if the camera is catching it, but it looks to me like the clip is brass. And I would guess that decision was made because copper's too soft. So they probably said, let's get something that looks similar, do brass. Again, going to refer to these guys. They had the same conundrum, and they thought they didn't want to do a copper clip, so they put on this I'm not sure if it's aluminum or stainless, but to me, I like that look and feel a lot better. Again, same with the Aonic. They had a copper light, they went with a stainless steel clip. So I think it was a bit of an odd choice to go for brass. I think as these two age, they're going to age differently, and it's going to look like copper with a brass clip. But that's just nitpicking. My real curiosity is why they used a tri-wing screw on this. These are sort of specialized screws that you typically only see on Microtax, a couple other knives. That's partially because they don't want people to open them. I don't know why O'Pen would or Olight would not want people to remove the clip, and people in the EDC community like to customize things and use their different clips and whatever the case may be. So I think it's just an odd choice to use that screw. Also, just think it was an odd choice. Not an odd choice, but just for me, it wouldn't have been my personal choice. The two blue highlights. I think I would have liked it, like I said, if maybe the clip and the two things, maybe all three were stainless or were titanium or something like that, or all three were black. But it just kind of ended up with, the copper, brass, blue. Again, I like this pen, but as far as nitpicking the details, that's sort of where I'm at with this. Lastly, I think that what I wanted to do is sort of compare and contrast the other product that I have that's similar to this pen flashlight. This is the Refyne P1 that I got many years ago. I did this flame anode job on there. If you want to learn how to do that, mention it and I can maybe make a video on it or something like that. But I carry this one's in my truck all the time. It's a decent pen, it's a decent flashlight. It has its quirks too. The worst thing about this one is that this thing is a twist light, so it can really easily get twisted on, and in order for it to stay off, you have to have it pretty loose. This one separates from the pen with a little twist and a little magnet, so you could do that, put it down and write kind of thing. But I feel like it's a little more convenient with this one. The bolt action on this one is, as you can hear, there's a clack to it, and it's really stiff. It's not as nice feeling as this one. The barrel of this one is much thicker. This one feels like the thickness of a normal pen. The pocket clip on this one is not great at all. Really loose and kind of spins around and stuff. So this I've had for years, and I've been using it, but I would say that it probably is going to get replaced by this one. So I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Hopefully you got everything that you needed to get out of this if you're thinking about buying one of these. If I wasn't clear, I do think it's a good buy. The non-copper version is actually quite a bit cheaper. I think it's $45. I think it's $20 cheaper. So I like the weight and the feel of a heavy copper pen. But if you wanted, I think the aluminum versions are a bit cheaper. So, but that is it on the Olight O'Pen 2 in copper. And have a good one. See you next time. Same place. Bye, guys.